This is Martin Giles of the Guildford Dragon News, and I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by Sarah Gobran, who's the co-founder and producer for the Guildford Shakespeare Company. Sarah, welcome back to the Guildford Dragon. It's always good to see you.
It's lovely to see you too. Thank you for having me on.
And you've been doing some exciting things, and you've got another exciting project coming up. Can you tell us what's been happening and what's going to happen?
Yeah, certainly. I'd love to. Thank you. So our production of Pride and Prejudice, which started in Guildford in 2024, has had a resurgence this year. It came back to Guildford, but it's also been to Ipswich and to London, a couple of different venues in London, and most recently, I've just come back from a cruise on the
Right.
Queen Victoria, which has been very nice doing Pride and Prejudice. And then I'm delighted to say that at the end of May to the end of June, we will be performing at 59E59 in New York. So
Oh,
as
wow.
part of
So,
the Brits.
so how long was the cruise that you were on on which
It was 2 weeks.
2 weeks, and how many performances did you give?
Just two.
Really? So you had a lot of time.
Well, we did two of Pride and Prejudice. The theatre's huge, you see. So for the first performance, we had 800 people come and see it, which was wonderful. But while we were on the cruise, we also did some Shakespeare workshops, and we created a little sort of evening soiree called All a Bard, and that was sort of a review night of different Shakespeare scenes and sonnets.
Okay, so you were busy apart from just the Pride and Prejudice performances.
Yes, yes,
I
yes,
see.
yes. Yeah.
And that sounds like fun, though. Was it fun?
It was gorgeous. Yeah, it was a really lovely environment to be working in. Just so many passengers really enjoying having theatre and straight theatre on the cruise. And we were in guest cabins, so we had
Yeah.
access to all of this lovely food and lifestyle. It was
Yeah,
great.
and presumably some time to enjoy it as well.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes, we
Well,
went to the Bahamas and to the Azores, so it's been really nice.
that sounds fantastic. And
Mm.
I mean, I came to see Pride and Prejudice in its first run in Guildford, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it, as I wrote in the review.
Thank you.
Um, I think it was. Am I right in thinking it was a cast of three,
Yes, that's right.
and that's still
Yeah.
the same?
Yes,
So it
yes,
involved incredible stagecraft to get all the costume changes and the timing right. I mean,
yes,
has
yeah.
it got easier the more you've done it?
Yeah, oh, definitely. The first time we did it a year ago, I remember those first three performances being the most terrifying moments of my life. And because we describe it as being getting on a train. Once you're on, there's no getting off, and you've got to hope it's heading in the right
Yeah,
direction, and that you're on the right carriage. Because you literally, as you saw, Martin, you literally go from one character to
yeah,
another. Sometimes you're even speaking to your own character while doing a costume change, and then obviously there's all of those scene changes and becoming different characters. And certainly in the first few performances, I remember getting up to the rail, taking my Mrs. Bennet hat off and looking at this rail of costumes and just thinking, nope, nope, I just can't think. And I looked at Luke, one of the other actors, and just went, help. And he nodded to my Caroline Bingley costume, and I was like, "Oh, thank goodness!" But now we're so used to it, and we're so in the flow of it that it's sort of like I say, you've got to get on the train and keep the
uh,
focus. You can't ever let go of the focus, but it's sort of within our bodies now. But even then, there was one show in Guildford this year where I'd come on stage to give Luke his next costume, and he turned around and he whispered to me, "You need to find Lydia's bow." And we've all got our own bows for the three girls, Lydia, Kitty, and Mary. So they're not into mine and April's are magneted to our heads, and his is a clip. So I couldn't give him mine. I had to find his. And I'm crawling through the pews backstage, trying to find his Lydia bow. And I couldn't find it anywhere. And he needed it I don't know if you remember, at the end, we do a little dance where we all play all the characters
all
that we
right, yes,
play. And he's playing Lydia and I'm playing
yes,
Kitty. And
yes.
I couldn't find his Lydia bow, but I did find his Kitty bow. So I bought on his Kitty bow and thought, I'll change and play Lydia instead because I can find my Lydia. But I had to hand him the bow on stage while he's meant to be doing a different costume and go, it's Kitty instead, play Kitty and I'll play Lydia. But yeah, which I think there's no way the year before we'd have had the headspace to
Right.
do that. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah,
we'd
yeah,
have
yeah.
just frozen and
I mean,
died.
I'm someone who's just happy if he remembers where he's left his cap. So that sounds like a nightmare to me. But anyway,
Yeah,
but the
yeah.
other thing is from the audience point of view, despite all that frenetic activity, you can follow the story.
Yes, yes. I think that's the beautiful thing about it is that, and what I'm really pleased has worked. We've been so faithful to the story, and I would say at least 90% of the text that we have used is Jane Austen's. There's been moments where we've had to abridge things, but the majority of the text is hers. So, and we've been really faithful to the story. So the fact that it is then clear and and a good justified telling of the story is the most important thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. And your adventures aren't over because now you're going to take it to Broadway.
Yeah, that's right. We're part of the
Wow.
Brits off Broadway season, so we're performing there for 5 weeks, which is incredible. You know, I would if you'd have said this to me in 2006 when Matt and I set up the company, I wouldn't have believed you.
No. Oh,
So
well, I can
it's
understand.
really
Yeah.
exciting.
So
Mm.
what's the plan there?
So we perform Tuesdays to Sundays every day for 4.5 weeks. They have a season called Brits Off Broadway, which is for new writing, essentially. Which obviously this is a new adaptation that runs from April to the end of June, and we are part of that. We're in their main theatre. They've got 3 different theatre spaces, and we're in their main theatre for 5 of those weeks.
Okay. Have you been to America before or to New York before?
So briefly, I've been there for 2 days. The last time Guildford Shakespeare Company did a cruise, we did New York to Southampton. So I spent 2 days in New York. So the thought of spending 5 weeks there and just really getting immersed in the culture is really exciting.
And there'll be plenty. I mean, there's obviously lots more to
Yeah,
see that you got,
yeah.
and luckily no tariffs on theatre productions, as far as I know.
Hopefully.
Good.
I
Otherwise, you'll
feel
have to
like
lose
that's never
10%
a
of the
fault
script.
thing.
Okay. And lastly, then, Sarah, is there any other news from Guildford Shakespeare Company for our
Oh
readers?
gosh, there's so much. Yeah, there's so much going on. So maybe I'll give you the highlights and you can tell me to stop if it's too much. But in the summer, we're working with the Yvonne Arno and we're doing the Comedy of Errors in their main space. But we've also commissioned a twin for the Comedy of Errors called A Company of Rascals. And that play is happening in several locations around the Yvonne Arno Theatre. And basically, it follows all the offstage action of A Comedy of Errors. So both of those plays perform at the same time with the same cast,
Right.
running from different stage to different stage. So that's very exciting. As part of that, we're working with Big Leaf Charity. I don't know if you know them. They're a displaced charity, and we are doing. We've called it Welcome to Our Table, but a project that sort of springs out of the Comedy of Errors, if you like, but a sort of community inclusion project. Just because the start of the Comedy of Errors is Aegean enters Ephesus from Syracuse, and he is
All right.
arrested for being in the country. So we wanted to sort of explore those themes, and we're doing a lovely project with Big Leaf where different cultures will be sharing cooking together and sharing stories and food. So that's really exciting. And then we're delighted to be part of Music in the Park on the 8th of June with Guildford Lions. We are one of their charities because in September, October, we will be doing the next draft, if you like, of our Put Up Your Swords project, which is a knife crime awareness project that will go into 5 schools over 8 weeks. And that Music in the Park will be a fundraiser towards that
Excellent,
project.
sir. Excellent. Well, look, I know from talking to people that how many people in Guildford really value having the Guildford Shakespeare Company here. So
Thank
thank you
you.
very much for all you do. Good luck with
Thank you.
Broadway, and it's always a
Thank
delight
you.
to speak to you. So if you've got something
Oh,
to
thank
say, let me
you.
know, and we can do another one.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Martin.
Thank you.